And happy Monday. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, waking you up each and every weekday morning. Surely you're awake way before this show starts. But here with you to give you what's going on in the state of Illinois and beyond. All right, go to thecentersquare.com where you'll be able to see some of the latest headlines, including some of what we're going to talk about today with redistricting. Now, this has been an ongoing conversation in Illinois with the new legislative maps that were drawn after the 2020 census in Illinois being considered some of the worst gerrymandering in the country, getting an F from civic organizations like Common Cause, and a whole bunch of criticism about gerrymandering and drawing political lines that politicians do by picking their voters instead of voters picking who represents them. That's the ongoing mantra about those who oppose redistricting, but both parties do it. In Illinois, they did it for the 2020 maps, and then all of a sudden with Texas now looking to do a mid-cycle change of their legislative maps to give Republicans more seats. So we'll talk about that coming up. Governor J.B. Pritzker hosted several Texas Democrats to essentially seek shelter in Illinois so they don't have to be in session and cause the Texas legislature to not have a quorum. So we'll talk about that coming up. We'll also talk live with Republican State Representative Regan Deering to get her reaction to Governor Pritzker hosting those Texas Democrats evading trying to be in Texas to take part in legislative activity, which could bring about a new map for Texas. So we'll do that, but also a lawsuit that was filed by multiple states. Another segment we're going to do, we're going to highlight the state of Illinois joining with California, Connecticut, and like a dozen other states in the District of Columbia suing the Trump administration over a new policy of not allowing for transgender surgeries under individuals of the age of 19. So essentially prohibiting transgender surgeries for youth 19 and under. So we'll hear about that and also get reaction from State Representative Bill Howder. So that's just some of what's coming up here with Illinois in Focus Daily right here this Monday morning. All right. Again, go to thecentersquare.com where you can sign up for the newsletter, and the newsletter will give you all kinds of stuff, including links to the headlines here each and every weekday morning, podcasts, and so on. So check that out. All right. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell and wake up with us each and every weekday morning here for more Illinois in Focus Daily. Illinois playing host to Texas Democrats who are evading being in the state of Texas so they could vote for or against a redistricting to have Republicans gain more seats in Congress. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, and you can catch this program each and every weekday morning. Again, just like and subscribe here with the Center Square on YouTube, and we can connect that way. All right, so we've got this issue of redistricting. Now, just quick background. Obviously, every election, you're in a jurisdiction for not just your municipality when you have local elections, not just your school district when you have school district elections, but also statewide elections. You got a state representative, and that district's drawn a particular way. You also have state Senate seats, but you also have members of Congress in the U.S. House of Representatives, and those maps are drawn every 10 years based off census data. Now, Illinois used to have, like 22, 23 congressional seats, and then it went down to 19, and then now it's it's 17, I believe, and most of those seats are for Democrats, and the most recent map was drawn by Democrats. Republicans opposed it. They even sued over it, and civic organizations gave it an F grade for gerrymandering, because you can see some of the very interesting lines that are drawn in those maps. But ultimately, it gives Democrats the advantage in Illinois. Democrats will say that it's drawn to ensure there's sensitivity to different cultures in different places, and then they have representation that they should be able to have in minority groups and minority populations and such. So interesting conversations, but now we've got Texas looking to do a mid-year change, and you can go to the center square and see some of the headlines there, including what will redistricting mean in 2026. All right, so a redistricting showdown in Texas and California. House Republicans and Democrats scrambling to secure the party's majority heading into the second half of the Trump administration. So we could see some changes to congressional maps out of all of this. We're going to talk with State Representative Regan Deering about Governor J.B. Pritzker hosting Democrats fleeing Texas to evade having to vote for a redistricting map. And you have Gene Wu, who arrived in Chicago last night to stand with Governor J.B. Pritzker, and they went live in front of the podium close to 9 o'clock last night, and they said that they're fighting what they believe is a overreach by Texas Republicans.
We're not here to play political games. We're here to demand an end to this corrupt process. We asked them to stop hiding things from the public. We asked them to stop doing things behind closed doors. We asked them to stop attacking Texas communities. They refused because their loyalty and fealty to Donald Trump overrides all other interests. We have been a part of this corruption for too long. We have seen it too many times, where Republican leaders promise.
And that's Gene Wu, the Democrat caucus chair for the state of Texas. Governor Pritzker welcoming them last night at a campaign event, not an official Illinois event. This is all a campaign event, and Pritzker was using some pretty fiery language.
This is a righteous act of courage, and we can all take a page from these leaders' playbook. When you show people that you have the will to fight, well, they can muster the will to fight too.
That's right.
Yeah. Courage is contagious. I am very proud that Illinois Democrats have been in this fight from day one of Donald Trump's presidency. In the coming days and weeks, Illinois will partner with the Texas House Democratic Caucus to put a spotlight on the danger that Trump and Texas Republicans pose to all Americans. To be in public office right now is to constantly ask yourself, how do I make sure that we're standing on the right side of history?
Now, the governor, again, signed a map that Republicans say was gerrymandered. And again, you also have civic organizations essentially expressing the same perspective that, indeed, you've got a serious problem with the map in Illinois. And a lot of people pointing to the ratios of Democrats versus Republicans and how different it is when you look at the outcome from the Trump administration to, in 2016 getting elected with like 41% of the vote in Illinois, and then in 2020 getting about 42% of the vote in Illinois, and then in 2024 getting 45% of the vote in Illinois. That doesn't translate to the number of members of Congress for the Republican Party from Illinois. We've got, 3 members of Congress that are Republicans and 14 that are Democrats. That ratio doesn't match up. You would want to, I guess, imagine having that ratio match up, but doesn't in this case. So something to keep thinking about in this conversation is, what is a fair map? And Pritzker went on to use some more fiery rhetoric, discussing what he says is the cult leaders of the Trump and MAGA movement getting the Republicans in Texas to do their will.
Remember, all bets are off when the cult leader and would-be dictator of the United States tells Texas to midstream change the game when they know that they're going to lose in 2026. All bets are off. Everything's got to be on the table, and that So.
But how is it cheating in one sense and not cheating in another?
The cheating here is the fact that we are midstream in 2025, and they want to rewrite the map, and for only one reason. The cult leader of their party tells them to do it because he knows he's going to lose control of the House of Representatives.
So you got this idea of, how the maps are drawn being something that is very much going to lead to one party getting more control. And Pritzker responding to the question, well, how is it cheating in Texas, but it's not in Illinois? Pritzker didn't really answer that question other than to say they're trying to do it midstream, but you even had more pointed criticism coming from Senate Minority Leader John Curran in the state legislature here in Illinois, essentially saying that Pritzker's being a hypocrite.
We believe that the people of Texas deserve to have fair representation and not to have the game changed in the middle of the decade. That's right. There already is litigation about the original map that they put in place. Now they want to change it again. That no doubt will end up being litigated too. But let me be clear that they are attempting to cheat. And, I think we all know Donald Trump is a cheater. Yeah. So is the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, in so many ways. And we here in Illinois believe that we're, 2025. We've had elections now for, the 5 years that this map has been in place. We want to continue to have those fair elections, and we're proud of the fact that Democrats do better than Republicans in those districts where they're hyper-competitive, frankly, and we won in virtually every one of those districts that was competitive.
But when you look at a map that's 14-3...
yeah, but you're talking about the outcome, Paris. You're talking about the outcome. Look, the fact that we are very good in Illinois about delivering for the people of Illinois and that people react to that and vote for our candidates is very different than cheating mid-decade by rewriting the rules because their cult leader, Donald Trump, tells them to do it.
Again, that's Governor J.B. Pritzker last night welcoming Democrats from Texas evading the state legislature down there in the Lone Star State to go to not just Illinois, I believe they're going to New York and other states over redistricting, and Texas looking to possibly give Republicans favor in that state when it comes to the 2026 election. Totally doable. States have the ability to change their maps even in a midterm cycle, even in the middle of a 10-year cycle. So what's going on here? Is this just politics getting ramped up? To get into more of this, we're going to talk with State Representative Regan Deering, a Republican from Decatur. She joins us now here with Illinois in Focus to give her reaction to what the governor did last night. Representative, thanks for taking time with us this morning.
Good morning, Greg. Glad to be with you.
So what do you think? What's Governor Pritzker's take on the fair maps down in Texas or the fair maps in Illinois? Did you hear what he had to say last night?
Well, I certainly was surprised to be tuning in late into the night after having put my family to bed and getting ready for what will be a full week ahead for us here in Illinois, to find Governor Pritzker up in DuPage County surrounded by a handful of Democratic politicians crying foul over a gerrymandered map. So many of us here in Illinois have faced the full effects of a very partisan drawn map, and so it's just complete hypocrisy when our governor is standing there at the podium and having just drawn very unfair maps 4 years ago here in Illinois. Unbelievable.
Do we just essentially say, what's good over there is not good over here? I don't understand, I guess, how the governor can respond to the criticism that Republicans are pointing out here. Is it just pure politics at this point?
Yes, I think he's thinks he's above the fray. You know, he's grandstanding. He's clearly got political ambitions on his mind. We have real problems right here at home in Illinois, and we're tired of our governor picking fights with not only the presidential administration but strong governors across the country just for his political gain. We here in Illinois are hearing every day about people leaving the state, people frustrated with policies, with outcomes from Pritzker and his very damaging policies. I'm on tour this week, hitting small businesses in the 88th House District, and obviously top of mind is energy costs. So, I think we do have real problems right here at home, and it's just one more sort of case of people rolling their eyes at the governor.
Again, we're talking with Republican State Representative Regan Deering here live with Illinois in Focus Daily. Just hours after Governor J.B. Pritzker welcomed Texas Democrats from the Texas legislature to Illinois as a way to find refuge and sanctuary, I guess. Do you have concerns as to what this could ultimately mean down the road? I mean, some of the stuff the governor had to say was, when people fight, others see them and then they want to fight, using this kind of, some would point to and say heated rhetoric. Are you worried that this is going to get to a boiling point at some point?
Absolutely. I mean, the governor has done this earlier this year when he was out campaigning in New Hampshire, talking about Republicans cannot rest and that we need to fight, fight, fight. It's dangerous. And, we have seen the outfall of people in elected office like myself that have been victims of violence as a result of this political rhetoric. So, I think that Pritzker needs to focus here at home. None of us forget that just 4 years ago, he signed a very partisan map despite a campaign promise for fair maps. The Republicans here in Illinois have tried to launch a judicial effort to redraw those maps. I know that just in a few weeks, there is a bipartisan effort to talk about fair maps between Mr. Daley, Mr. LaHood, people who have been down this path before and realize how damaging unbalanced representation can be in any state. So I worry that the governor is just picking political points. He is firing up his base, and it's very dangerous.
Representative, obviously we're heading into 2026, and you've got the ratio of Republicans versus Democrats obviously out of balance when it comes to the congressional seats. You're in the state house. How are Republicans going to be able to provide that check, at least to take away some of that supermajority that the Democrats have, if even the state legislative maps are drawn the way they are?
Yeah, we are stuck with these maps until 2030, which is potentially the next draw, although we are continuing to beat the drum on the partisan maps and the fact that our governor did campaign against that and sign them. I mean, I remember in 2021, we had judicial challenge just out of East St. Louis. The NAACP down there was one of the plaintiffs trying to challenge that map because it was racially gerrymandered. So, we are stuck with what we have here. Republicans represent, all 102 counties in the state of Illinois. So we're going to continue to show up and give voters, options on the ballot. I think the Democrats and the Pritzker administration are giving us more than enough ammunition to go out and just talk to people about how they are struggling. Under Pritzker, everything is going up.
Appreciate you joining me this Monday morning on very short notice as, again, the governor hosted the Democrats down in Texas to Illinois to get away from having to vote for that map in Texas. What does that say to, the Texas officials, the Republicans, saying that they're going to go out and try to round up these Texas Democrats to bring them back to Texas? Should they do that, or should they refrain from doing that?
I think Governor Abbott has made it very clear that the games are over. These legislators are avoiding their duties. I just, again, think about the hypocrisy of, our governor welcoming people that are requiring sanctuary from Texas. You can't have it both ways. I think that, those people that are legislating in Texas need to get back and take care of their business in Texas and let us do Illinois' work here in Illinois.
All right. State Representative Regan Deering, greatly appreciate you sounding off this morning. We'll definitely talk again in the near future. All right.
Have a great week, Greg.
You too. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning for more Illinois in Focus Daily. Get the podcast where you get podcasts if you don't already. And again, get the headlines in your inbox each and every weekday morning with thecentersquare.com.
There are medical professionals and there are medical organizations who have all stood by the science of gender-affirming care. The American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Academy for Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, the American Medical Association, the American Academy of Family Physicians. Those are organizations amongst many others who are organizations populated by medical professionals and who rely on science of today. And our action is an action for today, and I don't anticipate that medical science changing.
The science behind it, I don't take the Attorney General's advice too much on medicine as a physician, and he thinks that, this is settled science. It's absolutely.
State Representative William Howder saying that it's absolutely not settled when it comes to the science of, quote, gender-affirming care following an announcement from California, Illinois, Connecticut, and a dozen other states in the District of Columbia suing the Trump administration over new rules that they've implemented that hospitals are changing policies over. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning for more Illinois in Focus. Also, get the headlines in your inbox at thecentersquare.com, where you just go to, again, thecentersquare.com, and click on newsletter, and you'll be able to sign up for that today and get that in your inbox tomorrow morning. But again, here with YouTube, The Center Square, you can like, subscribe, and wake up with us live and join the live chat, which is always an interesting group of people plugged into what's going on and discussing it all within the live chat. But that happens only with the live program. Obviously, you can leave comments on the segments and the full show afterwards. But if you want to join the live chat, you can do that at 8 o'clock each and every weekday morning here with The Center Square on YouTube. All right, let's get to this. Friday, it was announced that the California State's Attorney, Illinois Attorney General, or California Attorney General, the Illinois Attorney General, the Connecticut Attorney General, and governments from across the country suing the Trump administration, altogether about 14 or so, plus the District of Columbia. And they were suing the Trump administration over new rules that are limiting hospitals from providing gender surgeries for people 19 and younger. Apparently, they could still do some hormone treatment, but no longer surgeries. And California Attorney General Rob Bonta, he explained why they're bringing this litigation forward Friday during a virtual news conference. Here is the California Attorney General.
The attack comes in the form of 2 cruel, inflammatory, and unlawful executive orders and follow-up actions U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi and her team have taken to block gender-affirming care for individuals under 19 years of age and threaten healthcare providers' licenses, livelihoods, and liberty. Trump, Bondi, and their allies have undermined trained medical professionals, trampled over states' rights, overstepped their constitutional authority, and endangered vulnerable minors and 18-year-old adults.
And that's the California Attorney General. Connecticut's Attorney General was there as well, plus Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul.
Our lawsuit challenges recent federal actions targeting healthcare providers who offer medically appropriate care to transgender individuals under the age of 19. Even in states like Illinois, where such care is legal and protected. The administration has overstepped its authority by using threats of federal investigation and criminal prosecution under laws that do not apply in this care. These threats have pressured providers to stop offering life-saving care. We are asking the court to block these actions and protect access to care for patients who desperately need it. The federal government's unlawful actions also interfere with the state's authority to protect and enhance the health and well-being of our residents. In Illinois, we have made it clear that seeking or providing health care for transgender youth and adults is not only lawful, but welcome in our state.
So he says essentially they're not telling hospitals to do these things. They're just simply suing the federal government to allow the hospitals to do these things because it's now is going to go against the federal edict of the Trump administration that you can't do these gender surgeries for people 19 and under. And if you do, we're going to come after you and possibly take away some federal funds. So that's kind of where this lawsuit's coming from in Illinois. Raul says it's protected care for even youth.
I mean, this is affecting hundreds of kids.
Here's some of the questions.
Some are going to private providers, but still these major hospitals where we're treating so many people. So I'm just wondering what the message is to families as this winds its way through the courts.
Well, my message to families who I've personally met with in my office is that what I will do with the powers of my office is to move to remove the threat. Again, as I said to Mr. Wall, I am not a healthcare administrator. I am not head of a hospital that's being threatened with potential criminal investigation or prosecution or removal of funding that goes towards saving the lives of various patients. And so I'm not in the position of either advising what administrative decisions should be made at hospitals. To the families, I say, and I have said, I will do everything in my power to try to remove this unconscionable threat that's coming from our federal government.
Again, that's Attorney General Kwame Raoul from the state of Illinois talking about the lawsuit they filed. So that was a question from a reporter. I was part of this news conference Friday and was able to get my hand raised virtually and asked my question for the Attorney General.
Next question comes from Greg Bishop. You are now unmuted.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, understanding you guys aren't medical doctors and are attorneys, curious your thoughts on what could possibly happen in the future with medical science. Lobotomies used to be accepted from the 20s to the 50s, fell out of favor, and now kind of viewed as barbaric. What happens in a couple of decades if the science changes on what is considered gender-affirming care and the use of hormones might be considered detrimental? How do you address that down the road with this issue?
Well, Greg, as you said, neither of us are medical professionals, but there are medical professionals and there are medical organizations who have all stood by the science of gender-affirming care. The American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Academy for Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, the American Medical Association, the American Academy of Family Physicians. Those are organizations amongst many others who are organizations populated by medical professionals and who rely on science of today. And our action is an action for today, and I don't anticipate that medical science changing.
And I apologize for not announcing the organization with the Center Square and Illinois Radio Network. Just to follow up on that, have you heard from those who have gone through gender-affirming care that are opponents of it? I think they consider themselves detransitioners. Do you take into account their concerns in this conversation as well?
I have not heard from them.
So again, that's just some of the Q&A. It's limited when you're doing the virtual thing as to how the interaction happens and follow-ups, but glad I was able to get a follow-up. But again, Raul saying that all these different organizations with medical professionals say that they support gender-affirming care even for youth as life-saving care, they say. Let's get somebody who's on the other side of this. Obviously, we want to give you all perspectives here on this issue. In the state of Illinois, State Representative Bill Howder is a Republican from Morton and also a medical doctor, I believe an anesthesiologist. His reaction to what we just heard from Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul. This is a conversation I had with Howder on Friday.
Well, it's a lot to digest there. I think it's absolutely a totally weak case, and I think, Greg, you're just looking at a strategy that the Pritzker administration has to be the anti-Trump. And so to be really visible as the anti-Trump, whether it be DEI, whether it be immigrant health care, and now on this child transitioning, which is, I think, and I've been strongly opposed to, and you may know this, on the House floor, in my communities, in my community schools, and in medicine, I've been very, very opposed to what I call medical child abuse, and that is gender transitioning, confused and hurting kids, basically emotionally blackmailing parents, telling them that would they rather have a dead child or that's a girl, or a alive child who's a boy who's transitioned to a boy. I mean, it's just emotional blackmail, and the science behind it. I don't take the Attorney General's advice too much on medicine as a physician, and he thinks that this is settled science. It's absolutely not. I'm a part of the Do No Harm in Medicine group, and there is no settled science on this gender transitioning and medically and surgically mutilating children.
Again, that's State Representative Bill Howder also reacting a little bit more about Raul saying that he doesn't anticipate the science changing anytime soon when it comes to the support for gender-affirming care, as Raul calls it, but Howder calls it gender-denying care.
I think it's willfully, ignorant of what's out there in medicine. They're part of an ideology. And this ideology, they cannot give up their argument, because what if they did? I mean, if they did give up the argument, then they would be admitting that they've done the worst thing that they could possibly do. They've mutilated children. They've sterilized children. They've made children have a lifetime of regret of what they've done. And so they can't stop arguing that their point is valid.
So more about the hospitals. You've got UI Health that announced they are actually going to cease doing certain types of surgeries on children under the age of 19, in line with what the Trump administration announced, and the gender-affirming issue. More from Howder about the possibility that hormones are still going to be used.
Yeah, and there's in some cases irreversible, and you're sterilized for the rest of your life. I mean, these children, we do not know, and we're just now seeing the detransitioners that are out there. And, in medicine, the first principle we have is do no harm. And I mentioned the do no harm group in medicine that I'm a part of. There's no settled science on this. And if they try to say that there is, they're picking and choosing the studies that they want to use. These can be irreversible hormones, and we don't know what's out there. There's so many detransitioners we're hearing about. In no way is the evidence proving that this is beneficial to children.
And I think that's really where it comes down to, right? Is adults can do what they want, but the Republicans are like, when it comes to children, and apparently the Trump administration up to 19, you have the issue of not doing such drastic procedures, and some hormones can really do interesting things to the body, and as Howder, a medical doctor, says, could be irreversible. So hospitals taking the Trump administration's cue, and across the state, they've announced that they are no longer going to be doing surgeries for people under the age of 19 under the umbrella of gender-affirming care. Here's Howder responding to that.
Well, it's gender-denying care, really, when you actually look at the facts. And again, I think that these hospitals in Illinois that were doing surgical procedures, like Lurie was doing, they said they weren't doing bottom surgeries, but they were doing top surgeries. So, just think of that, Greg. They were amputating breasts of healthy girls that were no longer in the future going to be able to breastfeed their child, or to be maybe they would want to be fully a woman, and just to have that as part of your ideology, it's just absolutely stunning to me.
Again, Howder discussing the issue of hospitals now, announcing that they're no longer going to be doing the surgeries for 19 and under, and Howder also comes to the point of saying that a lot of these lawsuits, because one thing that Rob Bonta said is this was like the 35th lawsuit in 25 days, and they're dipping into resources to take probably $10 million out of state funds in California to pay for these lawsuits and whatnot. Illinois has got the same thing. Illinois increased the budget for the Illinois Attorney General in anticipation of all these lawsuits that Illinois is getting involved in. Howder says this is really just seemed to be all about politics than actual accountability in the courts.
Yeah, they're wasting money to be the anti-Trump presidential candidate, and the attorney general's all part of this. I don't know I don't know anyone who actually puts a lot of faith into the attorney general at this point. I mean, he's the White Sox of attorney generals. All he does is lose, and everything from gun control cases to pregnancy center cases. He gives them this advice that these are totally constitutional laws, and then we take them to court and it's struck down. So this is another look at me, another virtue signaling lawsuit that is very, very weak when you look at it.
And some final words from Representative Howder, again, a Republican from Morton, a medical doctor, and had this conversation with him on Friday after the Illinois Attorney General joined California's Attorney General and Connecticut's Attorney General to announce a lawsuit against the Trump administration over the Trump administration cracking down on hospitals performing gender surgeries for youth 19 and under.
Yeah, I think that his case again is extremely weak. He's saying, the Trump administration should not be so coercive to our hospitals, and it shouldn't make providers feel bad about providing this gender denying care. But what is the legal basis of that they don't feel like the Trump administration should be so mean and coercive? I mean, the federal government is allowed to say, here's the guidance we have on interpretations of law, interpretations of Title IX, and even funding of Medicare and Medicaid.
Again, Bill Howder, Republican state representative from Illinois, and talking about the ongoing lawsuits that states like Illinois and Attorney General Kwame Raoul are joining with other states to sue the Trump administration. The most recent one announced Friday, at least, was concerning the issue of transgender care for youth 19 and under. All right, that's all I got for you on that segment. Keeping you posted. It's right here each and every weekday morning with Illinois in Focus Daily. Those were two long segments, guys, but I mean, if you want to hear from all sides of stuff, that's what we're going to try to do here with Illinois in Focus Daily. That's going to be interesting with all the politicking because we're heading into 2026, and this might be a channel to make sure you're staying close to because this stuff's going to be moving quick and fast, and we'll be right on top of it, all right? So go to thecentersquare.com. Again, thecentersquare.com. You can click on the Illinois page and get the latest headlines. Oh, we didn't even talk about the 124 bills that the governor signed on Friday. Oh, we'll have to talk a little bit about that, I guess. All right, it's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Have a great Monday. Be back tomorrow. We'll dissect some of those 124 bills the governor announced signed Friday. I was almost done with work Friday, and all of a sudden, that pops up. So glad I was able to get that out for you guys. But yes, have a great Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow for more Illinois in Focus Daily. Don't forget to get the podcast where you get podcasts. All right, share this up with your friends and neighbors, and have a great day.